Well, this is a colossal loss, and nobody can say anything other than that. This is a colossal loss. Cardinal TUMI, before becoming bishop, you know that he was the first ever rector of the regional seminary in Bambui, which became known as the St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary. And from 1973, when the seminary was founded, right up to 1979, when he was appointed by Pope John Paul II as Bishop of Yagua. And within that period, we count at least 5 generations of priests who passed through his hands. And today, you look at the bishops who are in the region, Monsignor George Nkuo, Monsignor Michael Bibi, the Archbishop, the current Archbishop of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province, of the Bamenda Archdiocese, Monsignor Nkeya. All of these are young people who virtually grew up when Cardinal TUMI was already an accomplished servant of Christ and was already Bishop of Yagua, and for some of them, already Bishop in Douala. So I think that we have lost an icon. The church as a whole has lost an icon. Someone that people looked up to for guidance and for example. You know that one of the most difficult problems that the church is facing today is to be able to have holy priests. And for those of us who dreamed at some point in time of our lives to become priests, I think that the Cardinal was an example that you cannot trample with. When you saw him, when you met him, when you listened to him, you were encouraged, despite the outstanding difficulties that young people can face on the path to the holy priesthood. But these are the kind of people that when you look at them, when you look at their lives, when you look at the values for which they stand, you are encouraged. And I think for the young church, because ours is still a very young church, you know that the Archdiocese of Bamenda was carved out only in 1969 when Bishop Paul Vedekov was appointed as Archbishop of Bamenda, Bishop of Bamenda before becoming Archbishop. Monsignor Pius Awa only took over from Monsignor Julius William Peters, who was the last Mill Hill Bishop, I think in around 1964. You understand that there is a long way to go. We still have a young church. We are still in our third bishops. So there's a long way to go. And these people are conscious. I know that they are conscious of the enigma of the cardinal who has passed away. And I know that they are also conscious of what they have to do to learn from him, to emulate. The challenges are going to increase moving forward. Just look at what is happening in our regions today. Nobody ever thought that the authority of the church is going to be questioned to this pedigree, that the church is going to suffer in this way, that the bishop is going to speak and people are going to loathe what he says, that the cardinal of the church, a prince of the church, is going to be captured and kept in captivity. Nobody thought that those things were going to happen, but those things have happened and those things are happening. Moving forward, the authority of the church is going to be downtrodden. People are going to accuse the church, run down the church. So, the task is even more ardent. The duty is even tougher of what the young bishops, and we do have young bishops, because when you look at all of the dioceses now, from Agapitus Fon to Monsignor Nkeya, to even George Nkuo, who is I think arguably the oldest among them now. These are people who are not up to 60. Some could just be in their 60s or thereabouts. So they still have at least 2 decades by the will or grace of God in front of them to lead the church. And I think that TUMI remains a worthy example that people will want to look to in times of difficulty, to know what to do, to know where the direction to take and how to lead the church. Well, I think talking about homage, we all agree that he deserves the highest homage. Now, I don't know what the state is going to do to ensure that he can be honored in that way. Maybe they are going to be an official funeral, maybe an official burial. We are yet to know. I haven't seen any document to that light. But I think that I have read the reaction of the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, who in a statement mentioned that Cardinal TUMI is a magnanimous loss to the nation. And I think that they are going to take measures to do that. But talking about his relationship with regimes, I must tell you that Cardinal TUMI comes from that school of thought that holds that the moral authority of the church should not fail, especially when it comes to serving the people of God. And who are the people of God? The people of God are citizens. The people of God are these people who walk into the presence of God every morning and evening, struggling to worship Him in truth and in spirit. And as a moral leader, as somebody who has been entrusted that divine authority to lead the people of God, Cardinal TUMI thought that the moral authority of the church should always be in a position to accompany and to check the secular authority, which is the state. I think that is a point of friction, or the point of conflict that we experience a couple of times when the cardinal took measures or did things that in his view were in line with the moral authority of the church. You can quote all of those instances, all of those circumstances when some divisional officer or senior divisional officer or even ministers thought that they had to check, they had to keep Cardinal TUMI in check. And all of what inspired him was the mission that is given to him as a priest. And you remember his famous anecdote about him discussing with a public official, complaining about corruption and appealing to the fact that how could Christians like them, who attend Mass every Sunday or every day, also be taking part in these societal ills on the same strata like people who do not even believe in Christ. It is because Cardinal TUMI thought that and understood that the allegiance that people have to God was supposed to be primordial over their allegiance to the state. And in what sense? In the sense that if you believe in the Christian values, if you have been baptized by water and the Spirit, and you do confess Christ Jesus, you are not going to steal from the state. You are not going to be a Christian on Sunday and an altar of corruption on Monday or on Tuesday. And that is how he approached it. That is how he approached it. So he saw he saw all of them like Christians. He saw church authorities as Christians. He saw leaders of the society as Christians, ministers, presidents, or whatever. Once he understood that you were a Christian and that you believe in the Christian values, he expected you to behave in such a way that the state will be honored because of your belief, that the state is going to be respected, that laws are going to be respected, that the public good is going to be respected, that the human is going to be respected, human rights are going to be respected, public rights, common rights respected, because you have a fundamental belief in the gospel of Christ. So most of the time it was not understood, because we live in a society where people want to draw a dichotomy between what they believe and what they do. Do what I say, not what I do. But the cardinal didn't see it that way. That is why he continued calling on the state, even to the highest authority. The misunderstandings that he even had right up to the time when he boldly called on the President of the Republic to consider not taking a further mandate. Those are the positions that only an authority of his caliber can take. And it is not only about church authority. No, it is about the moral authority, the spiritual authority of the man. The man had come to a level where he alone, in this entire country, he alone could take certain positions, and the church and the state can only show frustration because they know that they cannot cause him to come back on his word. So, talking about what we have lost, I think also that is what we have lost. A moral authority capable of appealing to different people in society, not minding their status, not minding their ranks, but calling them to pay allegiance and to pay attention to the oaths that they have taken as sons and daughters of the church, sons and daughters of the state. I think it's very important to say that. I think it's a very difficult question to answer because as you speak, I have been running in my mind over and over again, looking for personalities around which Anglophones, not even only Anglophones, around which Cameroonians can congregate in times of difficulty like now. And I believe you me, it's not you don't see them. You don't see them. You know, we have lost a lot of important minds, important personalities, but we have not been able to replace them. Let me be very clear. The Cardinal TUMI, in the Anglophone setting, in the Anglophone social build-up, socio-political build-up, if you want to say so, is irreplaceable. Look around. Look around. Would it be Mokete? Mokete is on his way out. He's even far older than the Cardinal and has political lines that will not be conciliatory with certain fractions of the populace. Who do you want us to call? Will you talk of Tumfoni Kohale? Would you talk of the religious leaders, the Archbishop of Bamenda, the bishops? Would you so when you look around, you discover that nobody is able in unanimity to call the Anglophone, what should I say, the Anglophone caucus together. We have lost that. We have lost that. And if you go into the various strata of Anglophone life, be it in business, be it in the church, be it in politics, hardly will you find a figure around which people can congregate on important issues like the Anglophone crisis. And unfortunately, when the Cardinal wanted to bring the Anglophones together in order to have a prior discussion of the stakes of the problems that are facing us as a people, in the diversity of our problems, able to have a document that could be presented to the state, ignorant people stopped him. Those who stopped him, I must say, I think it was more of ignorance than of reason. Because if you want to claim that you love the state and that you represent the state, this state that is collectively ours, all of us have a stake in the state of Cameroon. We are all Cameroonians. And we intend to live and die as Cameroonians. But what explains the fact that there was a certain drawback? There were some kind of pitfalls that were being put on the way so that this conference should not hold. And finally, this conference did not hold. When we went to the national dialogue, it was really clear that there would be a certain diversity of opinion because Anglophones had not had the time to meet, to discuss, and to evaluate the scope of their problems. Today, the whole thing is disjointed. Some people are outright there claiming, oh, the country must be broken into two, secession, others say federalism, others say decentralization, others this, that. But Anglophone, the Anglophone polity, I call it the caucus, has not had the opportunity to sit down and discuss. Partly owing to the fact that people thought that they could rubbish the initiative of the Cardinal. And where are we today? He's gone. He's gone. If you pay hundreds of millions to people to come together, I'm not sure that there's going to be a moral figure that is capable of uniting them in order to have this important national debate. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the signs. We are not seeing the signs. Let's be very clear that we have had some really very intellectual. And when I talk about intellectual, I'm not just talking about clever devils. I'm talking about people with all-rounded approach to life who have made outstanding contributions to the growth of this nation. You have named a few. The Cardinal is a chief personality among them. The late revered Professor Bernard Nsoki Kamfodlon. You've talked about Daniel Noni Lantum. I can continue calling them. Sankey Maimo, Kenjo Jumbam, Victor Nomangu, Paul Vedrkov, Pius Awa, and all of this breed, this cream that came from, you know, the 1930s, because all of these are the most of them were born around the 1920s and the 1930s, came with this country, ushered it into independence, and served in varying positions wherever they found themselves. Today, I can tell you that each name you call, there's going to be an argument around that name. There's going to be an argument. And I keep saying that the task of today, remember Professor Bernard Fonlon's iconic book, The Task of Today. What is the task of today? The task of today is to rebuild confidence in the human capacity to help this nation to cross over. You can imagine that even for a personality like Cardinal TUMI, Cameroonians are still capable of rubbishing his legacy. You know, now and then, I follow conversations on maybe on social media, Facebook and WhatsApp, and you see some, I don't want to call them riffraffs, but who are able to sit and say, but that guy, he did nothing to this country, he supported the secession and all that. So one of the fundamental problems we're even facing is that people don't even know how to value, you know, what is substantial. People don't know how to give credence, to give acclamation to the kind of personalities that have brought us this far. And more so, the kind of people that we need to move us further. I'm sorry, but look around yourself. Look around us. There is a serious deficiency in the caliber of people that this country needs. Unfortunately, we seem to be moving ahead, but I want to tell you that it is only an appearance. It is only an appearance. Believe you me, when the time will come, when we are going to need somebody to accompany us, to lead us across, I want to call it the Passover, political, socio-political Passover in this country, there's going to be a substantial lack because we are not going to find that person. It is at that time that we may want to look back to say, hey, we had some important people, but we just kept ignoring them. We just kept messing up with them. I think Cardinal TUMI moves into the pantheon of those Cameroonians who lived their time, who were beacons in this our lengthy and tumultuous journey, and to some extent, who were despised, who were not recognized. I really hope that someday we'll be able to look back and say, this was a great man. He ran the battle, and he won the fight, and his rest is well deserved.
Yeah, boy.